Hello there! Once again, it's Anton from Anton Obey. Thank you guys for stopping by the collection room today. Today I'm taking a look at some comics, and it happens to be a title that is actually kind of special to me, and I didn't even realize it until I saw them. And that is Avengers Spotlight. And why is that interesting to me? Why does that hold a little special place in my heart? Basically, since I started collecting comics, and I started buying comics, most stuff on the shelves was about $1, some up to $1.95, and that's kind of just what the market was at the time. And in the ads of one of the comics I read, I came across East Coast Comics ad. And they had some title called Avengers Spotlight, and they were like 25 cents a piece. And it was really my first exposure to quarter bins, because I hadn't found an actual comic book store yet to go buy comics at. And so I ordered, and I was like, I don't even know what Avengers Spotlight is. I was not familiar with the Avengers. Nobody was, because this was, you know, the early 90s. These are from 1989. Actually, it would have been mid-90s, I guess. About 95, 96 before I got these. But these were $1 a piece, and I picked them up, and I bought them from East Coast Comics. This was the first comics I ever bought from East Coast, and probably some of the first comics I ever bought through the mail. This is like how you do it. This was pre-eBay, guys. I found an East Coast ad. I went to the store and bought a money order because I don't even have a checking account, because I'm a kid, you know, I'm a teenager. And I ordered these. And they have been in my collection forever. Starting, oddly enough, with issue 21, because that's when it switched from Solo Avengers to Avengers Spotlight, kind of its own title. So I had the full run of Avengers Spotlight, but I don't have any of the Solo Avengers. But it was these stories, I really liked them because they were just kind of shorter stories about side characters that nobody cared about at the time. Nobody knew who Hawkeye was. Nobody gave a crap. And these were in my collection until a couple years ago. I sold them during the divorce for cash. I sold everything for cash and space and everything like that. This was 4 years ago. And anyway, I saw a guy had 21 through 40 for $10, $6 shipping. So this was $16 for this run, and that's not as cheap as I got from East Coast, but I was so thrilled because I had seen these I saw them in quarter bins after I bought them from East Coast, and they were something that was always floating around in there. These have a little bit of a spine roll to them. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not going to let that bother me. It's during the phase of white vision. But the thing I liked about these, because I could recognize it immediately, is like, this is clearly B-tier characters, maybe even C-tier. Nobody cares about these. And it was some short stories, and I just thought they were fun. Like, they were fun in the way that I liked comics to be fun. I could pick up a couple of issues of this, and I didn't need to know 30 years worth of continuity, or even a week's worth of continuity. You can pretty much figure these stories out as you go, and that's what I liked. It's like single. I just wasn't ready to get invested in the lifelong train that it takes on some of these titles to really understand what's going on. That said, I loved the art. I love the newsprint, cheap kind of feel of these. That is what I like in a comic, and I didn't really realize how much these really capture that. I mean, same as Alpha Flights do, same as all those other quarter bin comics that I've been really excited about lately. But I had forgotten. I had forgotten about the little book called Avengers Spotlight. And, you know, real Avengers books at the time, man, those were like so expensive. They were like 75 cents a piece, $1 a piece. I couldn't afford that, but I could get this whole set for like $4.50. Who's not gonna do that? I think it was $4.50 or $5 for these. It was super cheap. East Coast was the best. I loved buying comics from East Coast. And that's these, man. These were right there. Plus, you gotta admit, these are pretty cool covers for what's basically fodder comic books. I didn't like his new look. He should have kept his old. But some of these covers are killer. And look at that. This one of Tigra, that is horrific. That is creepy, but great. But it did give me this great love for these B characters like the Black Knight, Mockingbird. Like, nobody was caring about these characters then. And, you know, they were just side characters and you could kind of do what you want with them. I didn't remember having this issue before. This one's the only one that's pretty rough. Cover's hanging on by just a little bit. But, you know, I'm just super happy with these. It replaces and, you know, puts back a little piece from my comic book history of collecting that I feel like needed replaced. And these are in pretty good shape, but I gotta tell you, they are never gonna see the inside of a bag. And they are never gonna know the cold white touch of a backboard, because they're gonna be in my bin. They're gonna be pressed right comfy up against my Alpha Flight books, and they're gonna get read. And when I'm done reading them, I'm gonna put them back in the box, and I'm gonna wait till my kid can read them. And if he wants to read them, he can. And I won't freak out if he bends a page. Anyway, that's my story. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you later. Bye.